Greetings, kindred, from my future in-laws' home. If you are hearing what I am pretty sure is a cicada, it's not going to shut up, and I'm sorry for that. I hope this is all working because I'm filming this on my GoPro, but my GoPro understandably doesn't have the best audio. So I actually have my microphone hooked up to my phone, and we're gonna try and sync this together. So, happy thoughts. So quarantine and the state of the world has been a big blow to a lot of people's mental health, among other things. But I wanted to try to look on the positives that I have gleaned from this experience. So, my name is Kiri Callaghan, and today we're going to talk about my favorite quaranthings. These are a few of my favorite quarantine things. When I can't leave my apartment, when I'm feeling sad, I simply try some of my favorite quarantine things, and then I don't feel so bad. Yes, I did force that. There were too many syllables. Number 1. Swimming. So I live in Los Angeles, and as such, my apartment complex has a swimming pool. It's actually not that uncommon, and thankfully, because the chlorine kills all the germs and the virus, and it gets cleaned very regularly, as long as you are in there with like only one family unit at a time, you can go swimming, which is great for me because I can't go to the gym and I need some kind of physical exercise. And I've acquired some things that have made that even more fun. One of which, a friend let me borrow her monofin, so I've been practicing a lot of mermaid swimming. A lot of fun, real lot of fun. 2, I'm the dork who does not really like to open their eyes underwater. I mean, saltwater or freshwater is a little different, but I like goggles. I don't care if they make me look dorky. I love being able to see crystal clear beneath the water. It just makes me feel all like, I don't know, sea creature-y. And I don't care how I look because it's just how I look. Like, who cares? It's about my experience, not how people experience me experiencing it. So I've been really loving these particular, I have 2 actually. I have 2 goggles that I will list below in case you're interested. Both are fairly inexpensive. I think they're $9 to $12. One is this clear Speedo one, which, actually the other one might be Speedo as well. One is clear, which I prefer these days, but the other one is tinted for like dealing with the sun. The reason I prefer the clear one these days is because I've actually been night swimming more. All of my footage you'll notice is during the day, but I've actually been doing a lot of night swimming because, hey, you know what I can't do at nighttime? Burn from the harsh rays of the sun, 'cause I'm lame. I also really want to show you this thing. It's a Siren MP3 player, and this has literally been my favorite investment since quarantine started. If you have access to a swimming pool, I can't recommend this enough because this I can listen to underwater. It's great. It is an actual MP3 player, so you do have to like get the MP3s and drag it over, and I'm sure many people haven't done that in a very long time. I looked into Bluetooth options that could hook up to my phone, so I could just hook it up to Spotify, but I noticed a trend. 1, the Bluetooth didn't really work underwater, and it was as intended by design, and 2, they were all freakishly expensive. This was still a little more pricey. It was a bit of a gamble. I looked up a lot of reviews, so I felt it was probably worth said gamble, but this was, I believe, about $50 when I purchased it, but I've used it almost every day. And the great thing about this is it hooks on to your goggles or whatever, but also I will use this running and like when I go to the gym because I don't like having to carry around my phone because it's kind of heavy. And even those little arm things that attach to you, I'm not a fan, and I know you can get Bluetooth speakers or earbuds so you don't have to worry about the cord while you're working out, but this actually works better for me because I can use it not just while I'm exercising above land, but also in water. And I'm not gonna lie, there is something truly magical about swimming underwater and like hearing like Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, just as you're swimming about. It's great. I highly recommend. Link is below if you are interested. Number 2 has been nature walks, or really anything I can do outside that includes social distancing, which for us it's been, we've visited some parks that were open, some national parks, which I feel safer at because there's less people, and I believe most of them are open now. We're planning one up to Sequoia National Park, hopefully soon, just to see those big giant trees. It's like a 3-hour drive from where we live, but gorgeous. And just being able to be outside without a mask on your face because there's nobody around, it just sort of brings a little bit of that anxiety down and just a sense of normalcy. While visiting my in-laws, we went to a beach in the morning. There was maybe like 4 people in total on that beach, and they were far away. Some were fishing. Also, I had never been to a white sand beach before, and all of the shells just kind of floored me. I had never seen so many shells on a beach. I'm bringing back so many. It's crazy, and I'm very excited about that. Huntington Gardens, we actually figured out that between the 2 of us, you can get a membership for 2 people in a household for a relatively inexpensive if you are in the Los Angeles area. Highly recommend, because then as a member you get in for free. We've been going actually pretty often, because you basically reserve a spot and then you go and you show up for your spot and you get to walk around the park. You have to keep your mask on the whole time, but it's fine. It's beautiful and gorgeous. I highly recommend. And I think if you're a member, you can go to the night walks, which we haven't done yet, but I really want to. While we were down here, we did a social distance kayaking tour, which was one of the coolest things ever. One, we got to see some manatees in the wild, which I had never seen before. I learned manatees are apparently mostly muscle, which I definitely didn't know because they just seem like they're nothing but blubber, but they are strong and can knock over a kayak if you are not careful, especially if they feel threatened. We also went through these mangrove trees where like these man-made tunnels, and on these trees, there are like hundreds of these tiny black crabs climbing up and around them that he warned us before we left of like, hey, they're gonna look kind of like spiders. They're not spiders, they're these. It was just, by the way, it did fuel me to get I apologize that all the footage is kind of shaky. This expedition did fuel me to get a head mount for my GoPro, so hopefully that will not be an issue anymore when I can't hold it with my hands because I'm trying to paddle. I literally like stuffed it, the monopod, I stuffed down my shirt and then was trying to hold it between my legs. Did not work super great, and I apologize for how shaky the video is, but it's been great to just sort of figure out, hey, who's being safe about this during the pandemic? Like, who can I support locally who's still being safe and protective, and like maybe support their business, but get to experience something out in the wild, in nature and open air. It's open, yeah. So there's certain things that if you do your research, please do your research. Don't just assume they're being safe. Call. I know it's horrible. Like, calling is just, I don't like talking on the phone. We've probably discussed this before, but call ahead. Be like, hey, just out of curiosity, I see you guys are still open during the pandemic, but I don't see a ton of information on measures being taken. I'm just curious, could you go into that a little bit? And like the kayaking guy is like, oh yeah, masks the entire time you're on land until you're like, you know, you stay, the kayak kind of makes you stay about 6 feet apart from everybody. Number 3 on my Quaranthings, one I really didn't expect, coffee. I've started to really like coffee, which is strange for me, but at the same time, I acknowledge I like very frou-frou, like sweet coffee, so it's not like I'm going to be like, coffee, black. What I've really been enjoying, because I am that basic person, but you know what, it's delicious, so I'm not ashamed of it, is Farm Stand's pumpkin spice. I found this on a total whim. I mean, we'd been having, Angelique had been making some coffee prior to that. I started really getting into it because we were making it and then putting it in the fridge and we were icing it, and iced coffee on a hot Los Angeles morning was great. A little bit of creamer, perfection. Obviously, dairy-free creamer. I tried this and I was like, oh, I really like this. And then I also found a sugar-free pumpkin spice coffee syrup. And I've become that person even more than I already was. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Which sort of brings me to my number 4 on my Quaranthings, which is healthy cooking. Really been enjoying, in our very small kitchen, making new fun recipes. And I'm like, okay, this is something we normally enjoy. How can I make this a little bit healthier? Mostly because we're not moving as much. And because of that, we aren't burning as many calories. We've noticed that when we aren't getting that same amount of exercise, we just kind of feel lethargic during the day. And so we're like, okay, well, we're doing some swimming at night and going for walks when we can. We've been eating a lot healthier, and some of that involves, we've been making zucchini pizza. Another thing that I have found is something called shirataki noodles. For a little bit, I was trying to call them shiitake noodles. They are not mushroom noodles. They are actually white yam based, and they seem to have no nutritional value whatsoever at all. Like, there's no calories, there's no carbs. I'm very confused by them. But we get the angel hair ones, and because of that, they're really great to go in pasta. Like, we've also been using a lot of cauliflower rice, but the shirataki noodles are great because they actually, while I do love zucchini noodles and that sort of thing, and spaghetti squash, they don't quite have the same texture as a noodle to me. And the shirataki noodles really do sort of feel like real noodles to me, and they're very easy to prepare. They're a little harder to find, but if you Google where I can find shirataki noodles near me, you probably can locate them. Whole Foods usually has them pretty easy. They're not going to be probably where you think they are. I found ours in the vegetable section, like the refrigerated part of the vegetable section. But at my in-laws, we found them over by like the soy products. So if you have a Whole Foods near you and you want to try them and you can't seem to locate them, don't be afraid to ask somebody who works there. Because I don't think they have a set place they put them. I don't know. Also, my Instapot has become I already knew it was my best friend in regards to cooking because it makes cooking meat so much easier. And we use shredded chicken a lot in a lot of our meals, whether we're making like an avocado pesto noodle. Like, it's just our base meat is a nice like lean chicken. And the way we do that is I pop it in, I season, I do a little of that, and like within like 10 minutes, I just let it cool, and then I can just go with little 2 forks, shoop, 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 boom, shredded chicken for the whole week. It's great. Number 5 on Quaranthings would definitely be stickers of all things. I have been doing a lot, as you probably know, I've been doing a lot more journaling, especially right now during quarantine, because I'm trying to separate the days, because days can just kind of blur together so easily. But one thing I've really enjoyed is like finding stickers specifically for it. I've been really trolling Redbubble a lot for the artists and what they make into stickers, and they make me really happy. Number 6 on my Quaranthings would have to be Hearthwitch things. I've really been focusing more of my cooking not on just good for the body, but good for the soul, and really paying attention to what goes into each meal and what it can mean and what I can sort of infuse with that. I haven't talked a ton about Hearthwitch stuff, and I probably will talk about it more in the future, as there does seem to be a bit of curiosity towards that. There's also a lot of great YouTubers who are a lot more open about their craft, and I'm just kind of dipping my toes in sharing that with you, so I highly recommend you check a few of them out as well. As I've reiterated before, how I practice is not how you necessarily practice or how you wish to practice or how anyone else practices, because again, the craft is very unique per person, especially if you follow something a bit more eclectic like I do. Like, I do not identify as Wiccan. There's some things in that religion I agree with, but there are some things also that I'm like, yeah, that's not for me, which is why I go under the umbrella of pagan. I've been really getting into sort of figuring out what each thing is, and especially with cocktails, which it's very potion making of me, I know. But I have, I believe, 2 currently up on my blog, and I will link them below, that I very much went into. One I was trying to sort of untap because I had this cocktail at a place I can never go back because I will never be able to afford it. But I was trying to, like, okay, my memory, I know it had this and this and this, and let's see if I can recreate that. And one is that, and I know it's not a perfect recreation, so I renamed it my own thing, because it probably doesn't actually taste anything like it. It just tastes how I kind of remember it tasting. And then another one was a Corpse Reviver #2, and really kind of delving into what each thing of that can mean and what you could, the intention you can really put into your drinks when you make them, as well as food. I made a dear friend of mine some mint ice cream, and when I was infusing the heavy cream with fresh mint, I was really thinking about all of those things that mint can represent and bring, and then obviously like the vanilla bringing a little extra love into it, and the protection, and just all of that. And we'll talk more about this, especially if there's an interest, when we specifically start focusing on more like Hearthwitchy things. But yeah, it's just one thing I've really been getting into, and it's making me very happy and feeling very at peace with myself. Number 7 of my quarantine things would definitely be nesting and decorating. So if you haven't heard, we are actually moving apartments, sort of. We're staying in the same complex, but we're moving from our 1-bedroom with some very complicated, it's weird because as we've been unpacking from it, I keep expecting the space to seem bigger, because the place we're moving into within our complex is also a 1-bedroom. It's just about 100 more a month, so 50 each for Angelique and I, which is not really that big of a deal. And I don't think the square footage is that much more, but the square footage is used so much more intelligently in the layout, and that has made so much of a difference, because as we took furniture out of the old place, we keep expecting it to look a little bit bigger, and instead we just realized how small it is, and like, dear goodness, we have done so much with so little space. I learned how to rewire a outdoor light for indoor usage. I learned how to paint a specific way to make foam bricks look more realistic. And I also learned that you can use hot glue to secure something to a wall, so long as that wall is painted with a glossy paint. Like, you don't want to do it on a matte, but to be honest, I'm frustrated that our apartment complex uses a matte paint, because you just look at a matte paint wrong and it gets dirty and you can't really wash it without taking paint off, like soap and water, and some of the paint comes off. I'm starting to think it's not even a matte paint, it's just a primer. I don't know, it's frustrating. But we will get to show you more of the before and afters of the apartment when we get more settled in our new one. And I'm very excited to actually like get to do this sort of again and re-nest, and then show you the process, and eventually do an apartment tour, because I'm absolutely in love with this space. And thanks to the craziness in quarantine and all the stuff going on, we got a very good deal with this, and we didn't even have to hire a moving company because we're on the same floor. So we just borrowed 2 dollies. We moved all the furniture by ourselves. We saved a lot of money in doing that. And it's crazy. It's like, okay, cool, this is great. And then we'll get our old deposit back once we turn in our keys, which is kind of exciting. I'm really excited. I keep saying the word excited, I'm sorry. But I am actually very hyped to show you the transformation, because I actually managed to remember to get before footage, and then I'll get the after footage of once like the old apartment is repainted over, and then of course when we're finally done with the new apartment, or at least partially done, if a section gets done, I get to show you that too, and I'm excited. Just, I don't know, it's so achievable. It's so crazy because it looks very magical when you're done, and yes, a lot of hard work went into it, but goodness, it's like, it's so simple to do. Stone spray paint is something I definitely want you to know about in regards to ways to sort of make some things in your home look real cool. We'll go into that later when we start talking about like decorating in another video, but it's awesome. My 8th quarantine thing is I've been experimenting a little bit more with photography and filmography, especially with my TikTok. And if you don't have a TikTok, that's okay, because who knows, the US might not have it after a while, and if that's the case, if it changes, I don't know, you might start seeing more of that on this channel. But I've been playing more with my green screens and just kind of trying to figure out what can I do with these silly like 15-second things or more, as well as playing a lot more with presets in Lightroom, trying to take some interesting photos, or just kind of doing my own sort of takes, which you can find on my Instagram. So if you want to see any of that weirdness come to pass, my Instagram or my TikTok or both. The 9th thing is something I think everyone should be doing some version of, because it's just so fun. My friend Jenna put together Zoom Shakespeare that we do bi-weekly, where we sort of all take turns being more major roles, or there's a sign-up sheet. Actually, I should make sure that this week's hasn't gone up yet, because there's a role I really want. But we've been doing it, we just perform Shakespeare over Zoom, and it's so much fun, and I love it, and it's completely free. And if you have friends that might be interested in doing something like this, I highly recommend it. And if you don't like Shakespeare, that's okay. There's so many scripts online that you can pull from, even I think some movie scripts, so just some food for thought there. And my 10th thing, which is probably everyone else's first thing, is I've actually had time to watch new stuff. Like if I'm editing or I'm working from home, I can't watch something new because I get distracted by it, or I miss something because I'm focusing so much on whatever project I'm working on. So I don't actually get to take in that new thing. But during quarantine, I've had time to actually, since I can't go out and do things with friends and such, I've actually watched new shows and movies. It's strange. I know that sounds like ridiculously silly, because it's probably like what everyone did when the quarantine first started. But for me, this was very new and different. And I finished all of She-Ra, which I loved to pieces. And then we've been watching Umbrella Academy, and we're on 2nd season right now. And we've been sort of watching an episode a night. And that's delightful, and it just makes me want to create more. And yeah, I forgot how much I really enjoy taking in new media when I have the chance to, and I don't feel guilty about it because my brain's going, hey, you should be doing this instead. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. So those are my top 10 quarantine things, my favorite quarantine things that I've really been indulging in and challenging myself with during the quarantine. That's my silver lining of this terrifying state of the world that we're in. And I'd love to hear about some of the stuff you've been getting into. Like, have you tried anything new? Is there something you are giving more effort into? Expanding a new talent? That kind of thing. Let me know in the comments below. And if there's something that you're like, hey, I want to know more about that, or you want me to try something you've been trying out, let me know. Until next time, keep on the windy side of care, and of course, stay curious. Bye!